guys, this is Arius Sews. Welcome again to my channel. In this tutorial, you'll learn how to make a pair of shorts with zipper fly, side pockets and band. That sounds like something you're interested in, then stick around. So on my fabric, the first thing I'm going to do now is to measure my start line. I'm going to be taking all my measurements from this start line. I'm using 1.5 inch for the band of these shorts. So I'm going to place the 1.5 on my start line and take the length that I want to use, which is 16 inches plus 2 inches, which will make it 18 inches. After marking that, the next thing I want to do now is to measure my hip line and the crotch line. So the crotch line is the hip divided by 4 plus 1 inch. That's what I used for the crotch line. Note that the measurement is still starting from the 1.5 inch for the band. The next thing I did was to mark the hip circumference divided by 4 plus 1 inch. The 1 inch is for the seam allowance on both the side and the center. That's 0.5 on both sides. So I just marked that on the crotch line, I marked that on the hip line, and I marked that on the waistline. And then I drew a straight line to connect the marks. So for the waist, the measurement is going to be taken from the part where my finger is to the other side. So I marked the waist measurement divided by 4, and then I added 2 inches to that. 2 inches, 1 inch for seam allowance and 1 inch for dart intake. And for the crotch extension, I used the hip circumference divided by 16. That's what I marked, and then I added half an inch allowance to that just to use that to join. After that, I joined the waistline to the hip line just like so. I also used a curve to connect the crotch just like so. And then for the base, that's the leg of the shorts, I went in by 1 inch on both sides and I slanted that in. So guys, if you've been finding this video helpful so far, please don't forget to subscribe. Please hit the like button, and you can turn on notifications so that you get notified when I drop a new video. Thank you. Then for the waistline, I added 0.5 inch upwards to use that as the allowance to join the band to the shorts. And I went ahead to cut this out because the front piece is basically ready. Now I've placed the front piece on another folded piece of fabric. Make sure that the new folded fabric is wider than the measurements you used for the front piece. So up, I made sure that it was at least 2 inches longer, and at the sides at least 2 inches also wider. So what I went ahead to do was to add 2 inches to the waistline, the hip line, to the crotch extension, and to the leg of the shorts. When I did that, I went ahead to use a ruler to rule everything together and to also make a curve at the crotch extension for the back, just as seen. For the waist of the back, I went up by 1.5 inch and I slanted that all the way to the side waist, just as shown in this video. So when I was done doing that, I measured what the exact measurement I had on the front piece was, and I took that same measurement on the back piece, starting from the center back, and I marked that. So that's my new waist for the back. and I'm going to connect that to the hip for the back so that the waist can align when I'm sewing that. So I just went ahead to cut that out. Please just watch closely how I cut it out, the lines that I cut out for the back piece. So once this is cut out, the front and the back piece, they're basically ready. So on the front piece, I'm just going to mark about 8 inches. You can use like 7 inches, but I decided to use 8 inches because the owner of this short is tall. So and notch that point. That's where we're going to be joining the zipper fly. So after notching that, here's the zipper fly. I'm just going to cut it into this shape that you see. Just watch how I'm cutting it. It's just about 2 inches wide and 8 inches long. The same 8 inches I marked in front is what I'm using to cut the zipper fly, and I'm cutting 2 pieces of the zipper fly. And here is the band. Remember, the band is 1.5 inches, so I folded that means I'm cutting out 4 inches wide, and I'm just using the whole length of the ankara. That's about 47 inches. I'm going to be cutting off the excess when I'm joining the band. I'm going to go ahead to cut stay to iron stay on half of the band, just half of it, just like I'm showing. The next thing is to decide which side of the short will carry the zipper fly that will cover, and that's the left side for female. So on the left side, I'm going to join one of the 2 zipper fly that I cut out. I'm going to join that. So I just pinned it down and I'll just run a straight stitch. That is joined. It's time to fix the zipper. So I just opened it up like so, and the teeth of the zipper, the actual front of the zipper, is facing down, and the one side is touching the seam that joined the zipper fly to the shorts, and the other one, just as my hand is illustrating, I'm going to just run a straight stitch to hold that down. Just watch as I'm doing it closely, and it's very easy. It's extremely easy. So after joining it, I turned the zipper to the teeth of the zipper to face upwards, just like this, and placed the second side of the shorts, that's the right side now, on it. Just watch what I'm doing. And when I placed it carefully on it like this, I took the second part of the zipper fly and placed it under, so that way the zip itself, the zipper, the black zipper, is in the middle of the front piece and the zipper fly. So I'll just run a stitch also, half-inch stitch also, just like that. This is what it should look like when you're done. It should look exactly like this. So the next step is to join the center front. Start your stitch from where the zipper stopped and join that all the way down by 0.5 inch, and when you open it up, it already looks like this. The zipper fly is already covering, so you just run a decorative stitch to hold it down, just like I'm showing. And please don't forget to make sure you open up the back so that you don't mistakenly sew the 2 flies together, the 2 zipper flies short. Now that is done, the next thing to do is to fix the pockets. So for the pockets, I marked 2.5 inches on the waistline and 8 inches for the sides. That's what I want to use. And so I just got an extra piece of fabric. I folded it into 4, made sure that it was long enough. It was up to 8 inches and a little bit above 8 inches, and I cut that out. So I'm cutting out 2 pieces of this. So I also just decided how wide I wanted the pocket to be. You can do it according to your preference, and I just went ahead to, cut that out. So here I just opened up the front piece, and because I want the pocket to be well relaxed, I just went ahead to shape the open part of the pocket just according to the shape on the front piece. So I placed the pocket on the front piece, right side facing right side, and the 2.5 inch that I notched, I'm going to just slant it into the 8 inches, and I'm going to run a straight stitch. I'm going to repeat the same thing for the other side, and when I'm done sewing, I'm just going to cut out the excess. I prefer to cut out the excess after I've already joined the pockets, just to be on the safe side. So I proceeded to open the pockets out like this, and just in case you're not sure of how it's going to align, you can decide to mark your 2.5 inches again, just like I'm showing, and then you fold it out just like you see. It's very easy. So when you're done with that, I just went ahead to sew the pocket short at the back, and there's what it looks like. I also ran a decorative stitch on the sides of the pockets, just like a top stitch, just to make it look beautiful. So here is the back piece. I'm going to run a 0.5 inch from the top part to the crotch, and I'm also marking the darts. So the darts is nipple to nipple divided by 2. Bear in mind that I have 0.5 inch allowance, so I'm going to be considering that. So it will be nipple to nipple divided by 2 plus 0.5. That's for the back. The dart length is 5 inches for the back, and for the front it's 4 inches. So for the front, I'm just going to mark from the center. I'm going to mark the nipple to nipple divided by 2. So here is after I picked the dart for both the front and the back. So right now I just placed the back piece on the front piece, right side facing right side, and I went ahead to stitch it 0.5 inch on both sides. And after I was done doing that, I went ahead to turn the leg of the short. I prefer to turn the leg of the short at this point. Then I pinned the crotch just like so, and went ahead to run a stitch of 0.5 inch all the way to the other side, and then I made sure that I back stitched at the center of the crotch. So now it's time to fix the band. So I've already ironed my band. I folded it into 2, so that will give me 2 inches on both sides, right? And then I folded one part of that also by 0.5 inch in. See the way I'm showing you, one part carries stay and the other part does not carry stay. So now I'm going to fold it out. Just watch it closely, it's easy. I'm going to fold it out and run a stitch, and when I'm done doing that, I would trim off the excess and place that part that has no stay on it. I'm going to open it up at that point where I stitched it, and I'm going to place it on the waist part of the shorts. I'm going to place it right like that, and I'm going to pin it all around to keep it stable in place. When I'm done pinning, I'm going to run a stitch all the way to the other side. Please note that this is the right side of the short. This is the right side. So the right side of the band facing the right side of the shorts. Here I'm just trimming off all the threads and the excess fabric. So for this part where we have the excess for the band, just fold it in like so, and then fold it to the other side again and run a stitch exactly where the zipper fly ends. You can actually extend this by like 1 inch, depends on the design you're going for, but for this particular pants I want it to stop exactly the same. I want it to be exactly the same thing. Now you can see that when I opened it up, the inside was already laying flat and was already looking very good. So I just laid it flat like that all the way, and then I pinned that down just to make sure that I keep it in place. For the band, it's very important to pin to keep everything in place so that your stitches are going to be very straight. So after doing that, pinning, I turned it back to the front and I'm going to be sewing it exactly on where the joining of the front is, where I joined the band of the front and the shorts together. On that very line is where I'm going to be sewing. On that very line is going to be just a straight line all the way around. That way the thread is not showing on the outside, and it's also holding the other flap of the band on the inside. So after this, all I did was give it a good press and also fix the hook and eye, and this is what it looked like. It was so beautiful and so neat. The band, the zipper fly, the pockets, it was so neat and so beautiful. So guys, I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe, like and share. Thank you. Bye.